Party people, welcome to another video. What is one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to the car? And that is this: you do not realize how often you are scratching your car just simply due to lack of awareness. So that's the intention of this video, is to give you a couple of pointers and to create some awareness in your life so that you can scratch your car less often rather than more often, unintentionally rather than intentionally. Let's get started. Let me set up the basic understanding, which is this. We're talking about the exterior of your car, scratching your car paint. Most of you, I assume, do not want to scratch your car paint inadvertently. As a rule, you're going to have dirt on your car paint most of the time. What you do not realize due to lack of awareness is how often you're handling your car and putting in micro scratches, micro abrasions that over the long term will accumulate and produce unwanted results. The first area, your door handle. Now you'll notice on most people's hands, they wear some form of jewelry. If you're married, the obvious would be a wedding band. Generally made of metal, diamonds, whatever. It's not a good mix when it comes to car paint. Everyone also, most people have fingernails on their hands. Also, generally not a good mix with car paint, especially when you do it with unawareness. So when you grab your door handle, you grab the door handle itself, but you need to be conscious of the jewelry you have on so that you're not banging that jewelry against your car paint. So what happens is that most people, they go in level 10 and they jab their fingers into the backside of the door handle. And now what they do is they continue to put in some scratches on the backside of their door handle. Also, if you're wearing jewelry, they'll put in some scratches or chips on the door handle itself because they go in too hot and they haven't compensated for the fact that, hey, I've got this big heavy wedding band on. I need to be a little more gentle with my car. The second point is this edge right along here. So I accept that most people are going to have to use the handle to open their car door. But what happens is when they shut the car door, they get back here and they allow their fingers to slide and shut the door like this. So every time you come in contact like this and you slide it to shut your car door, you're putting little micro abrasions, scratches into your car paint. I've seen people, because they will use this edge to shut their car door and they slide their hand across it, whether they're opening it or shutting it, they will literally over time wear the edge of the paint right off of that edge of the car door. Don't do that. Also, what I see people do is they will often, checking to see how dirty their car is, they will go like this along their paint to say like, oh wow, my car is really dirty. I just verified. Well, guess what you're doing? You're using that dirt that is accumulated on your car paint and it literally becomes a form of sandpaper. So you depress your finger against it, you wipe it to check, or let's say you're a friend and you're like, hey dude, your car's really, really dirty. Look at that. It's like, don't do that. You're putting scratches into your paint. Moving on. Often people, out of convenience, they inadvertently use their car as a workbench or as a shelf. They may have a backpack. So what do? They set it up on top of the car. They might have a coffee mug. They set it onto the car. Now you'll notice I'm doing it very gently on my own car. Now the top of my car happens to be made out of carbon fiber, but it still has clear coat. So if I did that randomly without full awareness, I'm going to in fact put scratches on my paint. So don't do that. Specifically coffee mugs. If you ever feel the bottom of a coffee mug, generally it has not been finished like the smooth finished here, and it is literally like sandpaper. So when you just casually put your coffee mug somewhere on your car paint, it's going to leave scratches or leave a skid mark in the form of scratches on your car paint, whether it's your backpack, your books, your coffee mug or coffee container, whatever that is. Don't do it. Or if you're gonna do it, just accept that you're gonna put scratches in your car paint. Another very common area that you're unintentionally putting scratches in is the back end of your car. So for example, once again, this is flat. It makes for a good shelf to set things on. Just accept, if you set things on, there's going to be some form of dirt in between whatever you're setting onto your paint and the paint itself. That dirt and the material of whatever you're setting on your paint is going to put scratches into your car paint. So when you open up your trunk, whether you use a release or not is not really the problem. The problem is, like this, it's not controlled. So when I open it, it swings up. Now some of you will go into reactionary mode and it starts swinging up very quickly and you want to grab it. Well, the minute you grab it onto the paint itself becomes the problem. Scratches. We don't want scratches. So what I do is there's this thing called a license plate for one. Like you may have a dedicated handle, but typically the handles are going to be engineered so that they're hidden. They're out of sight. So they're not necessarily practical in preventing scratches and actually using your trunk to open and shut it. So what I do is I don't care about the license plate per se, because it's not going to show the scratches like it will on my car paint. So I will use a license plate literally to shut my trunk if I don't have an automatic trunk closure. This you could also use, because this has a little spoiler, I could use the edge of the spoiler without sliding my hand. I can simply use it as a way to control it. But I'm not allowing my hand to slide. I'm simply depressing against it if I needed to, if there was no other options. But on this particular car, I have a few options. My go-to is the license plate. I can shut it just like that. I open it with a handle. The hinges are going to automatically stop it. I don't need to capture it. Now, if you decide to use the license plate, you need to make sure that it's attached properly and that it's not going to do its own form of damage. But I can use it to shut the trunk. I also don't slam my trunk. So I open it like this. If I want to grab it for control, I do that. Now this car also has this emblem here, so if I wanted to, I could actually use both and close it like that. The goal is to keep my hands off of the paint where I'm going to incur some damage in the form of scratches. You can also default to the tail lenses, because I would prefer to have scratches on my tail lenses than my car paint. So if you needed to, you could use your tail lenses to shut the trunk. It doesn't really, as a rule, require that much effort. But you need to remember that every car is unique. That's where you're just going to have to apply this awareness to you and your world. And you will realize, like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that every time I shut my trunk, I grab it right here and I do this. And what will happen over time is you will collect an assortment and a pattern of scratches because you have used your car paint, this little handy ledge that is in fact very handy to shutting the trunk. But every time you do that, you're scratching your paint. The next point is right along here called the bumper. So what will happen? You're getting in and out of your trunk. You've got some groceries, shopping, whatever. So what you do is you drag that across the bumper, and people will actually use that yet again as another shelf, and they will set things on top of that bumper. Once again, over time, you're going to create scratches, and this area accumulates a lot of scratches because of lack of awareness. Also, people will rub up against it with their clothes. They'll do this, getting in and out of it. They'll use it as a leverage point. But every time, you just need to be aware that there's dirt sitting on your paint, and you're going to butt up against that dirt, and it's going to be a form of sandpaper. And over time, it will literally wear the edge or the paint right off the edges of certain areas if you do it frequently enough. Or you're going to put chips and scratches in your car paint. That's what I'm trying to help you avoid. So the bumper is a problem area. The trunk itself, whether it's here on this lip, here on this lip, So go with the license plate. Go with something else other than your car paint to avoid scratching your car paint. And in closing, let me add this last pointer. See what I'm doing here? I'm leaning against my car with my elbow. In between my elbow and my car paint, yes, in fact, there is some dirt. Not a lot of dirt, but nonetheless some dirt. Now, as I move my elbow around, set it off or take it off, set it on, not only am I getting grease from my arm, natural oils onto my car paint, which I don't like, but now I'm trapping that dirt and I'm doing some additional scratching or abrading I don't want to do. Also, I see people leaning against their car, and now guess what they're doing? And they're having a conversation with their buddy that just came up outside the bank, the grocery store, the gym, wherever, and so they want to kick back and lean against their car. Well, that's fine. It's your car. You can do what you want. You just need to be aware that over time it will accumulate some unwanted scratches, and then after, let's say, 2, 3, 5 years, you look at certain areas of your car and you're like, whoa, what the heck is going on? How did all that get there? Well, that's just due to lack of awareness. So when you start digging in and start observing how you handle your car, you'll begin to see like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that every time I open my car door, I grab right here and I shut it like that. And after 5 years, it's like, wow, I've got this serious wear pattern going on here. Now you know. Okay, I'll close there. What I want to hear from you guys is some additional points of concern that I did not cover in this video, because I guarantee there's other areas that you observe in your world. It might be with your kids, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friend. What do they do that you've observed? It's like, hey, don't do that. You're scratching my car paint. I don't want scratches in my car paint. I want to hear from you guys what those moments are. Until then, we'll see you on the next video.